Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Throwaway Move Away 129 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and it says, would I be the arsehole if I move out of our apartment knowing my fiance and his mum can't afford it without me? Me, female 29, and my ex, fiance, male 27, have been living together for about 1.5 years. Fiance got his undergraduate degree, worked for a couple of years, and then decided to get an MBA, which is how he ended up in our city. We moved in together after he finished his MBA program. Fiance is from the Midwest, and his mum has always wanted him to move back. When he told her he was staying here, she was heartbroken. I went to college and got my degree in a STEM field. After I graduated, I got a job with my current company and moved to the city where we currently live. It's a big international company with multiple locations in the US and international. I love my job. I like the company I work for, and the pay is pretty good. All in all, a pretty good deal. During COVID, my office shut down and we all went work from home. After COVID, they decided not to reopen this office, so I've been 100% work from home since early 2020. I currently make considerably more than him, mainly because I've been working for 7 years and I'm in tech. I had been living by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment and just had my office set up in the living room since it was just me. When we moved in together, we decided to get a 2-bedroom apartment so I could use the extra room as an office. Because of this, I was paying 2/3 of the rent and he paid 1/3. We split everything else 50-50. So the problem started this past May. Fiance's mum told him she wanted to move to our city to be closer to him. She asked if she could stay with us while she looked for a job and got settled. She's a teacher, so figured she'd be able to get a teaching job pretty quickly. Because of that, I didn't really mind her staying with us, as I figured it would just be for a couple of months over the summer. Since I thought it would only be for a couple of months, I moved my office into a corner of our bedroom, and Fiance bought a bed to put in the second bedroom. The problem is, she never applied for any teaching positions and has been living with us for 6 months now. She and I have already been struggling with each other since she moved in. I can't make her understand that I work full time. She constantly interrupts me while I'm working, and she even interrupts when I'm on team calls. She always asks me to take her places because she doesn't like to drive in our city. She has pretty outdated views of gender roles and is constantly giving me a hard time for not doing more around the house and making my fiance help with chores, do his own laundry, etc. The constant criticism and insults are just really wearing me down, and I hate having my office shoved in a corner of the bedroom. Back in September, I told my fiance that since it looks like his mum is going to stay a while, we should split the rent 3 ways. He told me she can't afford that since she has to conserve money until she gets a job. I told him I wasn't happy paying extra for a bedroom I can't use, so finally he said we could do a 50-50 split. I could afford to pay the extra, but I hate the idea of funding her lifestyle. Every time I complain about her or the situation, he says he agrees but doesn't know what to do because he can't kick out his mum, and he won't talk to her about the way she treats me or how she behaves. When I ask what the long-term plan is, he just says he doesn't know. I've thought about giving him an ultimatum to tell her she has to leave, but I think he'd just end up resenting me for essentially putting his mum on the street. So one of my girlfriends is losing her roommate the end of February. Our lease renews June 1st. I'm very strongly considering moving out of our current apartment and moving in with her. I can afford to pay my part of the rent on our current apartment and also half the rent at my friend's apartment. It's not ideal, but I'm not a big spender, so it's doable. The issue is, if he and his mum aren't able to pay for 1/3 of the rent each, there is no way they could ever cover the whole thing on their own. But I can't live like this anymore, so I'm pretty sure this is what I'll do. But I wanted to see if people thought I'd be the arsehole for leaving them like this. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. He's currently choosing his mum's comfort over your well-being. And is using your income to enable it. And it's not just about the rent, it's about a fiance who's allowed his mother to completely take over their shared home and relationship. You know, it was meant to be temporarily, air quotes, without a real plan. Now she's harassing his partner during work hours, the whole gender roles thing, and you've mentioned this to him and he's doing nothing about it. You're left with little choice, and I wouldn't put up with that shit too long either. But John Redcorn Massage says his mum is the biggest arsehole because she specifically planned this. It isn't that she's had bad luck. She didn't even apply, adding that she didn't respect your workplace and insults you. She's basically trying to be the matriarch of the house while being a complete mooch. The biggest problem is your fiance though. This is just a glimpse of your future with a mama's boy. He's made it clear that he's okay with her walking all over you, and she's not leaving. You're going to end up as a third wheel in your own marriage. Wildflower says, I agree. His mum is taking advantage and your fiance isn't setting boundaries. It's a big concern for the future. You deserve better, not the arsehole. Bunny Darry says exactly this. OP, you're not leaving them. You're escaping a situation that was never fair to you in the first place. His mum didn't just end up staying. She chose not to apply for jobs, and your fiance chose to let her. Meanwhile, you've been paying the majority of the rent, lost your office, and now you're stuck in your own home with someone who disrespects you daily. If he wanted to build a life with you, he would have had a plan for this months ago. Instead, you're the only one being asked to sacrifice. Time to choose yourself, because they already have. 1890 Rafaela says, and be prepared for them to be upset because they're losing their money bags. They were using you and had absolutely no respect for you. Neither one of them. If you don't leave, you will be the arsehole. Another commenter says, I'm a teacher, an old retired teacher. I could substitute teach every day this week if I wanted to do so. I still get requests to appointment and interview for both public school and private school jobs. Mother-in-law could work if she wanted to work. I'm in my late 60s and drive all over and in Mexico and Europe on vacation. She is needlessly helpless. Sugar Mama says, good news. You discovered your fiancé is a mama's boy before you legally got entangled. The price is 3 months of paying double rent. Sucks, but much cheaper than a divorce. Alimony, child support, and years of therapy because of dealing with that kind of mother-in-law. Mummy wanted to prove her darling boy would pick her and take care of her. So she moved in and proved it. He won't stand up to her. Sadly, unless he gets some serious therapy and figures out how to unmesh, he's never going to. So tell him flat out. Mummy wins. She gets her widowed boy back. You'll find a grown man. You'll pay your portion of the rent for the next few months. But you're letting the landlord know you will not be renewing and do not use your income for renewal for him and Mummy. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. You did what you could, but unless he wants to grow up, you're going to spend decades hearing how you don't cook right, clean right, raise your kids, spend money, vacation wrong, and have bad values. She, of course, knows better. Don't do that to yourself, and maybe, just maybe, this will make him realize he's got to get off Mummy's titty if he ever wants a life of his own. Titty is a great word. But OP comes in with her update and says, I posted here last week about the situation I'm living in with my soon-to-be ex-fiancé and his mum. I started off trying to reply to everyone's comments and keep up, but honestly, I just got completely overwhelmed with all the comments. First off, I want to thank everyone for their feedback and comments, even the ones that were kind of harsh. Actually, probably especially the ones that were kind of harsh. I really needed some tough love to make me realize that I was letting my soon-to-be ex and his mum take advantage of me. The more comments I read, the more pissed off I got. Honestly, I think I'm more pissed at myself for allowing this to happen and not advocating for myself more. This past weekend, I got my soon-to-be ex alone so we could talk, which was actually harder than it should have been because his mum always tries to tag along when we do anything. Going through all the comments everyone left and the PMs people sent really helped me decide how to approach this, and also brought up a lot of good questions I should have thought of myself. Back to the discussion with the ex. I wanted to give him one more chance to pick us over his mum. Not because I thought he would, but I just wanted to be able to tell myself I gave him the opportunity. I explained again about how unhappy I am with the situation, how it's affected my work because of her constant interruptions and just being unhappy and uncomfortable. I'm forced to work out of a corner in our bedroom. And I reminded him that until a few months ago, I was paying the majority of the rent, and being that I make so much more than him, it's really my salary that keeps us all afloat. I also brought up again the way she treats me and talks to me, and he replied the same way he has been. He agrees it's not right how she acts and that it's really uncomfortable for us all. What the fuck? I don't care if she's uncomfortable. Previously, I would have dropped it there. At this time, I told him how angry and disappointed I was that he let me pay 2/3 of the rent when she first moved, and how unfair it was that I'm still paying for half when there are 3 people living there, and she is the only one with her own bedroom. It was the same story. She has to conserve money since she doesn't have any income currently. Which brought up the question of where all her stuff went when she moved. What money does she use for incidentals? So evidently, when she got divorced, she asked for the divorce after my ex went off to college. It doesn't sound like her husband/ex's dad wanted the divorce. His dad bought her out of the equity in their house. Ex didn't have any idea how much that was or how much is left, but until she moved here, she was working as a full-time teacher and living in a small apartment, so she should not have had to tap into the divorce settlement money very much. Other than that, Ex didn't have much insight to her finances other than what she told him, that she has to conserve money. I told him straight up that I'm moving out before the end of the month, and from now on, I'm only paying 25%, as some of the commenters pointed out. She has a whole bedroom while I have to share with a man-child, so she should have to pay twice as much. And after I move out, I'm not paying for anything else. No utilities, no food, nothing other than the rent. I have a pretty idea what his finances are like, and if he has to pay 75% of the rent all by himself, it's going to take a huge chunk of his net income. And after he pays his utilities and buys groceries, there won't be anything left for incidentals. Rent was due on the 1st, but it's not late until after the 5th, so he has 2 days to come up with the cash. If he doesn't come up with it, and I end up covering, then I'll reduce the amount I pay in future months. The only reason I'm going to keep paying any of the rent is, even after I move out, I'm still on the hook. I talked to the leasing office and they explained that since X and I signed a single rent agreement together, example, one contract we both signed as opposed to 2 contracts we sign individually, we are both responsible for the rent. They don't care who actually pays as long as it gets paid. The only alternative would be if he agrees to sign a new lease by himself, or together with his mum, but in all likelihood, he wouldn't be able to pass the credit check on his own. So I'm kind of stuck. I don't think he'd do anything stupid though, because he's going to need to find some place to live after this, and a collection on his credit report wouldn't be good. I also told him that I'm going to find some place to work during the day until I move, so she can't bother me. My friend I'm moving in with said that I could work there during the day since she and her current roommate have in-person 9 to 5s. I took her up on that for now. After living with his mum, I'm not about to overstay my welcome, so I'm going to find some other options that I can rotate through. Someone suggested checking out the public library, or if it comes to it, I get a membership at one of those WeWork kind of places, just in case. I brought my important papers, files and valuables, and my friend is storing them for me until I move in. He really didn't take it well. The surprising thing to me is that he was surprised by everything. He seemed really shocked that I wasn't prioritizing his mum. I really got the feeling that he sincerely believed I wanted to take care of her as much as him, and he kept saying stuff like, "What about my mum? What am I going to tell her? That's how she is, but we still need to help her." He asked about our relationship and the engagement. I told him after I move out I need some space from him. In a few months, when we've both had some time and space to process what happened, if we both agree, we can talk about the relationship. But it'd have to prove that he's going to have my back going forward and will set boundaries with his mum. I told him that just to avoid more drama, but I don't see a future in which we are together. I told him he needs to tell his mum because she's not my responsibility or problem, and she'll know something's up when I start moving my stuff out. He hasn't told her what's going on yet, but this weekend I'm going to start moving things so he doesn't have much time. My friend's current roommate starts a new job in another state on the 3rd, so in reality I can probably move in 2 to 3 weeks, just depending when she actually leaves. I don't expect him to do anything bad, other than sulk and complain, but if he does something stupid or doesn't pay his part of the rent, the ace up my sleeve is I'll tell the leasing office his mum moved in, which is prohibited in the lease. Honestly, getting evicted would solve a lot of my problems right now, so it's a pretty valid threat, I think. Now that I've mentally and emotionally separated myself from him and his mum, I'm looking forward to her reaction when he tells her what's going on. If it gets too ugly, I'll find a cheap Airbnb or hotel or something. I've had some friends, including the one I'm moving in with, offer to let me couch surf for a few weeks, but I just can't do that to someone else. So that's it. I'm leaving, and I really don't care how that affects them. The top commenters on this one said, "You're at the end of a long and painful process, but I'm sure that you'll be better for it. Good luck." Master of the Beast says dude should really just marry his mum. And Smiley Cat says notify your landlord in writing that you're moving out and to take you off the lease after June 1st. You wouldn't want to do nothing and accidentally trigger an automatic renewal. Opie says already did that. I did it before I went to talk to the front office and confirm they received it while I was down there. Oh, to be a fly on the wall when Mummy finds out about this. She's not going to be happy. Or maybe she will at first initially, until she realizes she has to start coughing up some money. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story was a suggested one over on our subreddit. It originally comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from Inside Werewolf 3400. And it says, Am I the arsehole for firing my best man for proposing at my wedding? Oof. My 30 male wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My wife, 28 female, and I spent months planning every detail. And it turned out perfect. Almost. My best man, let's call him John, 32 male, has been my closest friend since childhood. Naturally, I asked him to be my best man, and he accepted with excitement. The ceremony was beautiful, and the reception was even better. Everything was going smoothly until the speeches. John got up to give his best man speech. At first, it was full of the usual jokes and heartfelt stories, which everyone enjoyed. But then, out of nowhere, he turned to his girlfriend, 25 male, and started talking about their relationship. Before I knew it, he was down on one knee, proposing to her right there in the middle of my reception. The room went silent. I could feel my wife's hand squeezing mine tighter and tighter. John's girlfriend said yes, and everyone started clapping and cheering. But I was fuming. I felt like my special day had been hijacked. Instead of celebrating our marriage, everyone was now focused on John and his fiancée. After the initial shock wore off, I confronted John and told him he was out of line. He said he thought it would be a great surprise and assumed I would be happy for him. I told him he was selfish and inconsiderate, and I ended up kicking him out of the reception. Now, some of our mutual friends are saying I overreacted and I should have let it slide for the sake of our friendship. My wife fully supports my decision, but I'm starting to wonder if I was too harsh. Am I the arsehole for firing my best man and kicking him out of my wedding for proposing during my reception? Every single time I find the mindset just like absolutely mind-blowing. This was a whole process. It wasn't just this moment. You know, he planned this. This was going around in his head for a while and never once questioned if it's appropriate to do so. And the time he did it as well, during the best man speech, a time specifically meant to celebrate and honor the newlyweds, to make himself the center of attention. You know, if I was his partner as well, I'd be embarrassed. I can probably excuse the guests there for clapping and cheering because they might have thought that he had permission or something like that. I mean, for me, I'd probably still be embarrassed even if I had permission, but that's just me. And the fact that he thought it would be a great surprise just shows how completely self-centered he is. He saw his best friend's expensive wedding as a convenient, like, sort of backdrop for his own romantic moment. Like, he's got all these beautiful decorations that you carefully picked out for your wedding. He's got the audience, which you invited, and probably the photographers were taking pictures of it all as well, wasn't they? But Shammy Dammy comes in straight away and says, not the arsehole. I'd fire him from my life. Next commenter, Ghost, who says, in quotes, now some of our mutual friends are saying I overreacted and I should have let it slide for the sake of our friendship. And it says those aren't mutual friends. They're his flying monkeys, which means they're his friends, not yours. For the sake of your friendship, he should never have proposed at your wedding, nor faked the best man speech, just to set up the proposal. Edited to add. Normally, I read the comments first before posting, but once I didn't and someone mentioned I really should. I made a mistake by posting without doing that. The comments are vile. OP has been allowing his friend to bully his wife in the name of humor for a long time. He's only mad now because his friend did something that finally affected him instead of just his wife. I have no idea why OP's now wife has ever stayed with OP long enough to marry him, given the degree of bullying he's permitted, and how even her own home is in a safe space because OP keeps inviting this friend to stay, no matter what he does to her. You reap what you sow. I hope this friend isn't bullying his own future wife the way you let him bully yours. You're the arsehole for hiding so much context from your main post. And there was a big twist in the comments from that point forward, because I'm struggling to find the comments, but from the ones that I'm reading, this guy was playing pranks on the wife for years, destroying her property, apparently killed her fish. And one of his comments that I did find says, "I'm so sick of this guy. He loves pranks and plays them on my wife constantly, including killing one of her pet fish a few months ago, messing up her makeup when he was staying with her before the wedding. So sick of him, to be honest." Edit, I said, "I'm so sick of this guy," in a moment of anger and frustration. In retrospect, I regret saying that. He's still my best friend, and while he's made some mistakes, we'll always be there for each other. So as you can imagine, the comments went absolutely wild on OP, and he was pretty much the arsehole from that point on. I mean, I don't know how OP says, in retrospect, I regret saying that after he's killed his wife's pet. That's wild. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell